Hello and good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this week's new episode of the Xbox Factor podcast. I am your sick host, Mr. BoomStick XL. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you so much for taking the time for being here. Sorry about the stuttering we had all of a sudden when we did the show started. I don't know what happened there, but you're going to be treated to some Forza Horizon 3 footage because unfortunately the new DLC is not available here. And just to give everyone a heads up, if I don't talk a lot today, I'm going to leave it to my my co-hosts to do a lot of the talking. Mrs. Boomstick and I, unfortunately, contracted COVID-19. We got sick yesterday, so today is technically day one, and we feel like absolute dog shit. But I did not want to cancel today's show because we were having a guest in the form of Brisket for the Biscuit, who is it's a long time coming to get him on the show. But I do want to give you guys and gals the heads up. I was going to try and do the rest of the shows that I had scheduled for Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, and I'm just not going to be able to do it. I am going to be lucky enough to get this show off the ground and give you guys a strong 2 hours, and after that, I'm just going to crawl in bed and forget that I exist. The scheduled Christmas in July $400 giveaway that we have planned is coming the following Friday, Breakfast with Boom. And again, we'll give more details. It's $400+ in digital items. International viewers are, of course, welcome. And if you are an international viewer and you do win, even if we can't send you technically the code from the States because Microsoft doesn't allow that, or PlayStation or Nintendo, we will use PayPal to get you the equivalent in cash sent to your
Boom, I can help you out with that. I've done it before on my show because I have the same thing with giveaways for the US.
Oh, okay, excellent.
So you could just let me know what kind of code you need, and no problem.
I appreciate. Yes,
Like,
yeah. You know what? I'll
out.
definitely take you up on that offer. Thank you very much for that. But listen, let's get into the introductions. We have a rock solid show for you today. Lots to talk about. Obviously, the headline, which we'll get on the back end of the show, is the recent information on the ABK deal potentially being done by this August. Now, we did have Hogue Law, who is not only an outstanding community member, he just broke 100,000 subscribers on his YouTube channel, which is bonkers. He put out a video yesterday that I will have linked in the show notes if you want to watch it. And he does break down why he doesn't think that is going to happen. But he did admit at the end of his video that he could, in fact, be wrong, and stranger things have, in fact, happened. But let's introduce someone that, again, long time coming. He is one of the hosts of the Xbox Infinite podcast. He is an outstanding community member. Risk it for the biscuit. Thank you, brother, for being here. It is great to finally work with you. How the heck are you?
Oh, I'm pretty much the same as you, man. I'm just getting over COVID-19 myself, so I'm a little bit scratchy. But I'm excited to be here, man. It is a long time coming. I'm super stoked to be here, man. It's going to be a great show. I can't wait to get into it, man.
Yeah, it's great to have you, brother. And of course, we're going to sell your brand at the back end because there are a lot of the beautiful thing about YouTube is the plethora of content creators. Now, of course, there is a downside. There are the ones that use hate and negativity to build and sell their brand. And I'm here to tell you that if you trust me as a content creator, if you trust me someone with a voice, what Risk It, what Doom Cutie, what Jedi, and what Infinite do on a weekly basis must correlate to more ears and eyes. They are positive. They have fun. And if you are someone that's looking for an additional Xbox podcast to listen to, I highly recommend that you definitely check them out and add them to your weekly playlist. You will not be disappointed. But Infinite, welcome back, brother. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling good, Boom. Thanks for, of course, having me and my brother Risk It on. You know, nice to have a chop it up with you before our Friday or you future people show Saturday show, and of course with Danny and Heat Wave Box now, and of course,
dude, it's like it's crazy over here. We just talked about it in the green room. It's 140 degrees Fahrenheit.
Oh,
That's 40
Lord.
degrees Celsius here.
Wow.
I'm
No,
dying
thank
over
you.
here, dude.
Well,
I-
listen, real quick, just Boxenberger, your mic is getting a lot of feedback, so you might want to either back out and come back in because you sound like you're on
All right.
fast forward, which is a little weird.
All right, I'll do that.
All right, we'll get you back in a second. Daniel McG, what's going on, brother? Thanks yesterday for being a part of the special edition Xbox Factor podcast where we actually talked about Netflix. And of course, they are having their investors meeting today. And according to several of the big Financial Times papers, this is going to really paint a picture for the future of Netflix. And I am still standing on my square where I think in 2023 they are announced as the next acquisition from Microsoft for $100+ billion. How are you, brother?
I'm doing great. It sounds like I'm the only one on the panel who isn't either suffering from COVID or melting from a heat wave. So I'm gonna not take that for granted. But yeah, we got some great topics today, and I'm excited to get into them.
Yeah, it's great to have you here. And Boxenberger, we got your back, brother. Listen, first of all, thanks again for being here. Whenever you're not here, we feel like there's a missing cog, and obviously there are a few missing cogs.
Thank you.
Mav is not here. Pong isn't here, and they're working. Real life steps up, but you're here, and you dropped an incredible video just yesterday. I want you to talk about that and how you been besides melting.
Doing good. I'm trying not to get COVID because my wife has it, but she's better now after a week. And so far, the kids and I are clean. So
Thank Christ.
yeah, let's hope it stays that way. Yeah, but you mentioned the video. I dropped it yesterday. It is something I do like every 6 months or so on my channel. I do hidden gems in Game Pass recommendations.
Love those videos because you do really break down a lot of misses for a lot of people. Like there are some folks in the community that just look at A's, and if it's not a AAA, they just pass over it, and that is a mistake if you are a diehard gamer. I love when you do this.
Yeah. Me too. Usually I get fantastic feedback from the community as well because Game Pass is all about discovering new things, games you normally wouldn't buy, genres you wouldn't try, and that's what Game Pass is all about. And it can be overwhelming with more than 500 games in the service, and sometimes you don't know where to start. And that's why I definitely recommend everyone to check this video out and see if there's something for him or her to check out. Yeah.
Listen, and speaking of that, over the weekend we had family over, and that's how we got sick. But with that said, no one's fault. This is life, folks. This happened.
Yeah,
I had an opportunity to sit with my nephew Tyler, who is amazing, and we got a chance to run through Peppa Pig and get all 1,000 out of 1,000 achievement points. And you know what? Here's the thing, folks. I know you're like, oh my God, you got 1,000 in Peppa Pig. How dare you, Mr. Gamer? If you have kids, I am hoping that you sit down and you play with them. This is something that has been missing from Xbox Game Pass. I know Redmond is listening right now, and I am incredibly privileged that they do. And one of the things that is absentee from that conversation is Peppa Pig. And all you have to do is look at the socials. Peppa Pig trended for 3 days. 3 days. Not because she and the family are popular. Yeah, of course they're popular. But the fact that it dropped into Xbox Game Pass sent people gaga. And I think that is, I hope that the bean counters over at Redmond are looking at that and seeing that, you know what? Maybe a Banjo-Kazooie, kart racer, or something in that form, a fighter similar to, Smash Brothers with Xbox characters could bring in an audience. Remember, it's not just old dudes that play games. Sure, we're a demographic, but the reality is that a lot of people have kids, and a lot of people like sitting down and experiencing these things with their kids, whether it be the first time or the 100th time. And I honestly think that it is a miss that Microsoft isn't embracing it, and they are starting to now. Obviously, the Paw Patrol, the movie, got
Yeah,
in there the same day.
That's what I've been playing with my kids lately.
Yeah, I played that with Tyler,
they
and
love
it's a
it.
platformer, so I had fun with it. But listen,
Yeah.
folks, let's get into the topic. So what you're here to talk about is what's been going on with Xbox. And thanks to Idle Sloth of Twitter, who is literally a sleuth, the number one detective when it comes to finding hot off the presses information, he has reported, and this comes the way of extras one TV. Now he is a Spanish YouTuber. I love his stuff. I think he is a one hell of a personality. I'm subscribed to his channel. We both follow each other. We constantly talk on DMs. He actually put out one of his shows like he normally does weekly. And apparently there is a rumor that he has from a very good source. And again, folks, take it with a grain of salt because, we all have sources and sometimes, like Boom, you get it wrong. Well, apparently Platinum Games has approached Xbox to publish their next game. Now, of course, we all start to wonder whether or not that is the rebirth of Scalebound. But I have to be honest with you. I love Platinum. I think that their hits are phenomenal. Their misses, though, are legendarily bad. And the perfect example of that is the PlayStation 5 exclusive that just launched. I don't even know the name of it. I have to look it up. It is so bad that by the third day that it was out, I think the concurrent players was like 6. I gotta reach out to the chat, which we have. Let's see how many people we have here now. We're closing on 250 people. Wow, thank you so much for that. That's super cool. Here's the thing, folks. That pedigree of good games for Platinum is legendary. And if they deliver a Bayonetta for Xbox, then it's a super big win. Unfortunately, they have a lot of negative baggage, skeletons in the closet, so to speak, because of what happened with Scalebound and how there was a mismanagement of monies. And there, the one thing about this world, whether it be YouTube or sports or whatever, we always want to know what you've done for me lately, right? That's what we always do with sport fans. Like if you're a Steeler fan, which I am, and have been since the 70s because I'm old, when they F up, I'm like, Tomlin, do you have to go? Is it time to send you packing? And most of the time, it's an over-exaggeration from a fan. But in video games, gamers don't have such a short memory when it comes to bad games. And Platinum has some pretty bad games. Risk it. I got to go to you first because you are a special guest. What's your potential confidence level if you're Microsoft to potentially team up with Platinum again and obviously invest in their next project, which obviously the investment aspect of the Dragon game didn't go pretty well.
Yeah, look, I'm not a big fan of Platinum Games. Not only for their misses, but also for their attitude towards Microsoft in those years, with Scalebound. And the attitude of the CEO Kamiyama, I think his name is. Some of the stuff he's said and gotten away with is just out of control. So as a lead of a studio, not a big fan, and most of their hits aren't something that I'd normally play. The latest game that they think they did was Babylon's Fall. That's the
one for the PlayStation 5. It was horrendous. Yes.
Yeah. Horrendously terrible. And that's the problem with Platinum Games as well. Like you so succinctly pointed out, that their hits are, they are hits. Not my style of game, but their misses are just horrific. And it's just the way that they ran that Scalebound out, that went on for years. And it felt like they threw
Phil Spencer under the bus, by the way.
Yeah. And they were using Microsoft as a cash cow. Yes. And they not only used them as a cash cow, they used Microsoft as a cash cow to fund other games and other
That
games
were
for other
terrible.
platforms. Yeah. So to me, I cannot believe this rumor. I just cannot see a world in which Phil Spencer would put that. I mean, Phil's a great guy. He's a nice dude, right? And I can see Phil putting water under the bridge for a lot of things, but from a business standpoint, and then the way that they've kind of behaved in the past with Microsoft, I really can't see Microsoft putting their neck on the block and having another go at this. If they do, and it is scale bound, that game looked amazing. So, look, I would be keen for that to happen. But you would want some guarantees, right? You would want
100%.
some checks and balances. You would want some cross T's, dotted I's, lowercase J's, all that sort of stuff to make sure that another scale bound doesn't happen. So look, I'm all for it if it's a solid thing. And I'm pretty sure that Microsoft wouldn't enter into an agreement with Platinum Games ever again unless it was rock solid. So we'll see. But I'm not highly confident, that's for sure.
You know, you're definitely putting it down for sure. And you know, one of the things, you know, you mentioned guarantees, and that's something that would have to be at the forefront of any conversation. Because here's the thing, I love an underdog story. I consider myself to be an underdog, to be quite honest with you, and every success that I gain, whether that be in my personal life, whether my marriage, whether it be podcasting or just being on social media, I never take anything for granted, and I always look at things with like that child star in the eye kind of a look, because that's just who I am. I'm like a giant kid. And you know what? I can't say for sure that Phil Spencer's like that, but the way he presents himself as just not only a gamer, but as a strong leader for Xbox, but more importantly, a human being. I can see Phil sitting down and being like, how could we get this done where we all win? And, you know, talking about underdogs, I don't think that the story of Scalebound should be closed. I think what they had there looked incredible. It just needed a ton of polish. Maybe rework it into Unreal Engine 5. Maybe have people from the coalition who are prominent in 4-player co-op come in and help you. You know what I'm saying? You send a team over there and say, we're going to work together on this. This is going to be a dual published and made game. And even if it takes 5 years, you keep it under wraps. You make sure that there's all kinds of NDA signs so no one can even mention the word Scalebound on that team. And at an E3 in 2025, you for shits and giggles, you show the old Scalebound. You're like, we're just messing with you guys. Here's the new one, and it's world breaking news. Daniel, what are your thoughts on this? Are you feeling more like me, or do you feel like Risk It and like, I don't know so much?
I probably split the difference a little bit. I've got this love-hate relationship with Platinum Games where they do character action unlike anybody else, right? You know, when they're really on it and they're doing a Bayonetta or they're doing a Nier,
yes,
or even a Metal Gear Revengeance, right?
Which was epic.
Yeah, fantastic. Amazing soundtrack, right? When they're really on it, they knock it out of the park better than anybody else can. The problem is that for every one time that they actually really seem to care about a game, there's 2 or 3 that are like that Legend of Korra game or like Transformers Devastation, where it's like, it
or
feels
Ninja
like they're
Turtles,
making this game.
Which was,
yeah.
Oh man, that was bad. It was bad.
Yeah. There's a very clear difference between the games that it feels like they're making just to pay the bills because it's like a recognizable IP or it's being financed by somebody bigger like Sony in Babylon's Fall case, and hopefully not this Xbox One, and ones that they're actually really invested in like Nier. If there was a way that Xbox could guarantee that the game that Platinum was working on would be in that latter category, then they should absolutely go for it. But there's no way of doing that, right? So in terms of like bringing back Scalebound, I mean, I would love that, just in terms of like shutting up the people who constantly still to this day are like, oh, I can't believe they canceled Scalebound. And it's like, for me, I feel like 9 out of 10 people who still bring that up probably didn't even really want to play the game. They're just looking for a reason to dog on Xbox. Not that they have to look that hard.
Pretty much. Yeah, I agree.
If it's me, right? If I'm sitting in Phil Spencer's chair, I'm sort of two minds about it, where it's like, I don't know if I can trust Platinum again, but also we don't have any games this year and we're trying to break into Japan. So maybe it's cuffing season, maybe we get back with somebody we shouldn't, but
and there's a market there for it. There's no doubt about that. So
yeah. So it's, I mean, I could really go either way for it. I wouldn't say I'm necessarily excited for it, but if they come out and they're like, hey, the next Nier is going to be Xbox exclusive, then I'll be all over it.
Yeah, no, that's, I mean, again, the easy way for Microsoft to get in bed with Platinum Games is to go to a game like Nier, right, which has a couple of iterations. It mostly have been on a PlayStation first. If you don't want to bring Scalebound back because it's a lot of old wounds and there's more risk than there is reward, you money hat that next game and you get it for a year. You get it, or and again, I've said this before, folks. Even if it released on multiple platforms, as long as it's in Game Pass day one, that's the exclusive. You know what I'm saying? And they could in fact do that, because they do hold Nier quite close to the vest. It is a very popular, beloved IP, and like Daniel and Risk had said, they do when they hit it on their major IPs, they really hit it. So maybe Microsoft, tries out the money hatting thing. They pull a Sony. They're like, hey, listen, you know what? You can release it on everything, but we want to pay you X amount of dollars, for in-game pass day and date. And it's a niche genre. Their games are niche. They'll sell 2 million copies, and that's a win for them. You drop that into Xbox Game Pass, the first week, you potentially have 5 million new customers that are being introduced to a Platinum game that never had Platinum on their radar before, because Game Pass, like we said in the opening, like Boxenberger said, there's a lot of magic there. And speaking of Boxenberger, I know you have a lot to say on this. Let's see if your mic is working. I think I know the answer, but I want to hear it from you. Do they bring Platinum in to make a game together again?
Oh, I don't think so. I'm right there with Risk It for the Biscuit. I think from a portfolio point of view, of course, it would make sense to have a little bit more Japanese-focused games. But seriously, there are more trustworthy developers out there, and Platinum Games have not been handling the whole Scalebound thing like gentlemen's. Microsoft did. They stayed quiet for 5 years until their contractual obligations ran out. And Platinum made it look like it was Xbox's fault, when we all know now the real story, what happened. And seriously, I don't think that a company like Microsoft forgets stuff like that.
That makes sense.
And the second thing is really, do they need to? If they would sign that deal right now, that game would come out in 5-6 years from now. So we're talking here a release date of 2027, 2028, something like that. And does Xbox need a Platinum game and that investment in 2027 or 28?
I say nay. I agree with you there.
Yeah, I think their portfolio by then is so filled with big AAA games, not just from their first party studios, but with a lot of other deals that they are working on. I'm not really sure if they would actually need a Platinum game at that point in time. So yeah, I don't think that there's anything to it. Probably that there, I would say, where there's fire, there's or where there's smoke, there's a fire. Of course, I could see that Platinum actually approached them. They have been weirdly open and publicly with their their statements about they would love to work on a Scalebound again, all these or on a project again with Microsoft, and it was like really weird a few months ago when they came out and talked about it like that on social. But for Microsoft, I don't see the point, honestly. So
all right,
it's
before
probably not gonna happen.
listen, I love what you're putting down. I got to get rid of a troll. I mean, Jesus Christmas. Can I just take 5 seconds to interrupt my own show?
Absolutely.
Everyone is welcome here, right? I am the gamer that gives hugs at the door, right? Everyone on my panels, all gentlemen. When we have females on, they're just as positive, and they're just as welcoming and warming as anyone else. I just don't understand why you would come to an Xbox podcast that pushes positivity to be a dick. Like I honestly, I don't like the curse, but I don't get it. Like what is your life like? You go play a PlayStation 5 with all of your bangers. There's your answer. Don't come here and be a D-bag. I don't know what to say, but I don't want to hold up anymore. I do want to get get to the next topic. But I look, here's the thing. I love Platinum games. I've been a Platinum fan for years, since I used to import all of their stuff. I love what they do, and I think everyone really hit it out the park, where when they hit, it is epic. It is 10 out of 10s. It's 9.5s. It's a game that maybe doesn't sell 10 million copies, but for the diehard fans, for the faithful of their games, we're treated to greatness. When they miss, and unfortunately, if you look at the pattern, they'll hit once and miss 3 times. That's not good. That's definitely not good. And if I'm Microsoft, and I have to once again shout out Riskit for this, there's got to be some sanctions. There's got to be guarantees. There has to be a lot up front to say you're not going to screw us, because technically, and I'm not trying to be a D-bag here, folks, Microsoft does not need Platinum. Even though they're marching into Japan, there are a lot more. They signed with 200 indie developers that are going to be bringing exclusive content, not only to Game Pass, but to Xbox. And listen, Sarah, Phil, Aaron, Matt, the rest of them, they know how to pick games. And I can't wait to see what they bring. So technically, they don't need Platinum. More so, Platinum needs them. And like I said, there would have to be some serious concessions up front to guarantee that you're not going to, throw a curveball mid 4-year in development game. But I do want to move on to the next topic, and it's a good one, folks. Obviously, this week we are seeing the release of DLC and 2 games, one on each platform. Stray for the PlayStation 5, which looks freaking awesome. Downloaded, ready to rock and roll. As Dusk Falls, like I said on Twitter, I was very fortunate to have Microsoft reach out to me a couple of weeks ago and send me the code. And I've been playing the game. The game is, if you like Telltale games, you're going to quite enjoy this. Your decisions, some of which are very heavy. It's very adult, not something you want to sit down with your 5-year-old. There is a lot of explicit language, no sexual stuff. At least I haven't experienced it yet. I am maybe about 40% through the game. And I'm going to finish it. I didn't want to give my review of it. I am quite enjoying it. I think that it is a great exclusive for Microsoft. I think it is a fantastic game to be in Xbox Game Pass. One of those games that you didn't really know you wanted and was there. But the other piece of DLC, which is not on the screen, folks, because I got up last night at midnight feeling like absolute poo, and it still wasn't available, so I could not record any footage. So you're seeing Forza Horizon 3 Hot Wheels. I want to talk about the DLC coming the way of Playground Games. When this was announced at E3, I jumped out of my chair. I am a Hot Wheels kid. I have been for years. I had orange and blue tracks. So for me, seeing this come to fruition, and as gorgeous as Forza Horizon is, it's like, reenacting when I was a kid. So there's a personal connection. Daniel had something to say, and I'll let him say it when I get to him in a second, of what this did for him. But why I want to talk about it, folks, is because the last DLC for Hot Wheels, which was a first, and came in, obviously, Forza Horizon 3, the size of the tracks reached the 115 kilometers, which is huge. And that was big. Lots of beach scenery, lots of ocean scenery, lots of, there was a dinosaur there, some loop-de-loops. But my God, folks, my God, have they not outdone themselves? Obviously, it's going to take place in Mexico, which is where Forza Horizon 5 is, and it is gorgeous. What a beautiful country. So much so that there are biomes in there that I didn't even know they had, to be honest with you. And what's interesting about this DLC is you're going to get 4 biomes, folks, a total of 4. And they nearly doubled the size. It's 200 kilometers versus 115, almost double the size. They have magnetic tracks, they have loop-de-loops, they have a bunch of surprises that they haven't shown. There's a winter, there's a rain, there's a summer, there's a desert. I mean, first of all, racer of the generation, racer of the world, I would say, yeah. And now they have this DLC. I want to get everyone's opinion on it, both in the chat and the panel. Daniel, we'll start with you. What you had to say about the feelings that you invoked was pretty interesting, and that's the feelings I have. Are you excited to jump into this? Because you said yourself, you're not normally, quote unquote, a Forza guy, but this kind of changes things, huh?
Yeah, so I'm not normally not just a Forza guy, but a car guy in general, and I both in terms of games and in the real world. And I think the reason that I don't usually respond well to racing games is because so often they try to be like really dedicated sims to racing. Like they try to make it feel like you're racing. Like at the Xbox Bethesda show, they went on a bit of a conversation about how the different weather will affect the way that the tires stick to the track and all the different ways that the dirt sticks to the car. And I'm like, that's really cool visually, but it means nothing to me. Like, I'm just not, that's just nothing to me. Right. But when I see something like the Hot Wheels expansion, it just looks so much fun, right? Like the cars are flipping upside down. You're going through all these different biomes. They're really clearly taking this property and just elevating it to the point of just having fun with it, which is, I think, why I'm almost certainly going to end up playing this. I haven't yet, unfortunately. I'm actually not 100% sure if it's even live in my region yet. Hopefully it is, so I can play it after this. But I have a lot of fondness for Hot Wheels, right? I grew up in the late 90s, early 2000s, and we didn't have, I don't come from like money, obviously, right? Like, we weren't struggling or anything, but it was that sort of situation where, we were sort of going paycheck to paycheck. People, like, my parents did their best to make sure that we didn't feel like we were struggling, right? And I say that to say, I had Hot Wheels growing up. I didn't have any of the tracks, so having this DLC come out kind of feels like a way for me to experience that portion of my childhood that I
love it.
Didn't really get the shot to.
Yeah.
And my mom, actually, when I hit, I think it was 18 or something, and I was like starting to move out, going to school, she was she was talking to me, and she was like, hey, I know that I'm never going to be able to have the money to buy you a car. And she handed me a Hot Wheel car. She handed me this Hot Wheel car.
Oh, that's
said,
awesome, dude.
So I bought you a car.
Awesome.
And it was just a really nice moment, right? It was So I have a fondness for Hot Wheels, even though I maybe didn't play with them that much as a kid. So
first of all, I want to say thank you for sharing that story. That's magic. That's like mom magic that you don't that for you to share that with us is not only do we appreciate the trust, but that is an epic story. That is an epic story, and it makes the Hot Wheels DLC even more memorable for when you and I are going to pick it up, right? Like for me, I played it. I didn't have a lot of kids. My parents were blue collar. My mom didn't work. My dad worked. That was it. But the holidays, you always got the racetrack with the loop-de-loop and the launcher, right? You got the shark car or the or like I was telling you before, I had the Scooby-Doo van. I thought it was really cool having that. But I love it, and that's the magic of gaming, ladies and gentlemen. That's why when I see the pettiness that comes out, it really disappoints me, because a lot of the times we forget the human element about gaming and what it does, how we connect as people, and that's a beautiful story. Definitely appreciate that. Risk It. Let's get your opinion on this. This is a monster DLC, and I say that not just because of the size of it. It comes at a time where Microsoft finds themselves lacking in first-party content, whether that be full-on releases or DLC. Specifically, we're still waiting for some stuff to happen for Forge. Co-op is out there for Halo. Obviously, As Dusk Falls just released, which is great. But, the year is light. This is the kind of DLC that not only invokes current fans to start playing again, but introduce the game to more people. And we already know that they already surpassed 20 plus million players on Forza, the most played Forza in the history of the franchise. And I think we're going to see even more. What are your thoughts on the DLC? Are you excited to jump back in?
Well, that's the power of Game Pass, really, 20 million players. Man, am I excited. Look, this is the first time, I'm just watching it on screen now. This is the first time I've ever seen the Hot Wheels DLC. And I believe 3 was in Australia. And my intention...
I think, was it in Australia?
It was
Australia,
Yeah, it was.
My intention was to always jump in, because they were going to have, our classic Fords, our classic Holdens, which is GM if you're American. We have Holden. And it's, it's like an Xbox v PlayStation thing going on in Australia. It doesn't get quite as serious, but like you're a Holden guy or you're a Ford guy. I was a car guy back in the day. I've got a 650 rear wheel horsepower car sitting in the garage.
What brand of car is it?
It's Ford.
Oh, so you got a Ford. Okay. Yeah. I was a Chevy guy. I had a Super Sport Deluxe. I changed. Yeah, it was gorgeous, man. I had racing stripes on it and everything. Oh my god, it's like my leg lamp, so to speak.
Yeah, mine's custom paint, C4 gearbox, 9-inch diff. It's a straight 6, but honestly, it's beautiful. Drives like a boat though, right?
You all didn't know this, but Risk is going to be inside of Fast and the Furious 10.
Listen, as long as they're paying him the big bucks like The Rock, let's do it.
I'm down. I've got the arms. No, I haven't. Yeah, look, I'm super excited for this, man. I wasn't a Forza guy either. I didn't hate it. I didn't have a thing for it. But when it came to Game Pass, I got a good friend of mine, Gray Monad, who's played every single one. The dude's got the steering wheel, the setup, the whole gear, loves it, man. He's like, dude, you got to try it. So I'm like, all right, let's try it. Me and him spent hours, and Jedi in the chat there, hours and hours upon hours playing Forza 5, and loved it. Still jump back in occasionally with the man dealer. That guy can tune a car like unbelievably. He's tuning up.
We love dealers. Which, by the way, he is fighting COVID right now, folks. He's been sick for a couple of days, so much so he didn't have his show. And that's how sick he was. So send love to Dealer. But yeah, he chats it up. He loves to talk.
Oh yeah, and he does. He tunes a great car. So I've had a lot of fun in Forza 5. So much so I'm kind of a little sad I didn't get a chance to play Hot Wheels, because everyone talks about the Hot Wheels DLC, right? So when it came out, I obviously don't have the excitement of playing it, in the past, but I get a chance to play it now. It's not coming to Game Pass, but it's 26. I think it's $26 in Australia.
Yeah, you get like 10% off in Game Pass. It's not bad.
Yeah, it's crazy, cheap. There's no reason not to buy this and just absolutely smash it out. And this looks like a ball. Just watching your gameplay, it looks awesome, man. I was so poor that we never had the tracks, right? I think I had some hand-me-down Hot Wheels from my brother or something. because we couldn't even afford Hot Wheels, right?
Yeah.
So like Hot Wheels is obviously in my blood as a kid. We all play with Hot Wheels, man. I don't know if kids play with that stuff these days. They all got devices. And
Oh yeah, my
I had GI
kids play with
Joes
it.
and like Hot Wheels and all that stuff you did outside in the garden, you know, like racing them around. So man, this has got me super hyped. I can't wait for this to drop. I don't think it's out yet here because I checked just before we jumped to the podcast. But man, as soon as this comes out, I've got it. I'm definitely going to be spending a lot of time in this. And you're right, it comes at a time when, look, let's be flat out and honest. It comes at a time where we really don't have a lot to play in the way
Indeed.
of AAA.
Yeah.
In the way of AAAs, like you can't say there's not a lot to play in general. My backlog is so big, it's ridiculous. But when it comes to AAAs, there's nothing new. And like you say, what have you done for me lately? This is a good, what have you done for me lately? This is nothing to sneeze at, man. I cannot wait to dive into Hot Wheels. I'm super excited.
Yeah, they're adding 28 cars, some of which are the classics from the Hot Wheels. You know, like I think there's a new rendition of the shark car. There's there's like a Gravedigger type looking car in there as well. I love all the old stuff. So I'm definitely gonna be playing with it. Playing with everyone, because everyone that reaches out to me said my drivatar is a lunatic. And it knocks people off the road. I apologize for that, but that's how I drive. Not in real life, though. Listen, let me catch up on some of the super chats. We have quite a few of them, and I want to thank everybody personally before they get out of control. Drawn TJ, generous friend of the program, drops the first super chat of the day of $5. Says, morning, guys. Hope the deal goes through in August. The latest September. Yeah, we're gonna get into that. Why I think it is, and like I said, Hogue Law broke it down. I mean, that guy is so smart, and there's a reason why he has 100,000 subs. I mean, the guy knows his law, and he broke it down. And he broke it down in a way which I appreciate, where it's done. Even though I'm a former police officer, I understand law, criminal law. I could tell you, I could tell you the penal law guide up and down, back and forth. But when it comes to corporate law, well, I never dealt with that. So listening to him, he does break it down in a way, and I definitely suggest get over and subscribe to him if you want to keep your ear to the floor, specifically on acquisitions from Sony, from Nintendo, from Microsoft, or whoever. He's really good at breaking that down. We also have Outbreak Podcast, a good friend of the program, Dave. He should be known as Dave Mr. Review, because he actually just interviewed Risk It. He drops a $2 super chat and says, Risk It was awesome. Great interview. Yes, and if you missed that, get over to outbreakpodcast.com or Outbreak Podcast on YouTube and check out all of his interviews. He's done pretty much everybody, including Dealer, including myself, including Risk It, and I think Umbra has been up there as well. I mean, he does a good job, and a lot of the times he gets us to talk about things that we don't normally get to open up about, and that's what I love about his work. So definitely highly regard checking him out. Quabini Gaming drops an outstanding $5 super chat and says, new lawsuit on Sony for avoiding disclosing a deficit that supposedly causes the system to shut down during gameplay. I saw that, resulting in lost progress. Wow. Yeah, I actually had that happen to me in Horizon just recently. I got stuck. Something happened. I got stuck on a rock. I fell through the world and got stuck on a rock. And when I tried to reset it, it froze, reset to the beginning, and I lost about 35 minutes. Not terrible, but annoying. Corbini Gaming drops an outstanding $2 super chat, additional $2 super chat, and says, this is just breaking. I'm looking for some details. Yeah, I appreciate it, brother. I mean, I'm not going to be covering it this week because I'm starting to really drag, and I don't want to speak too much. I was told by my doctor, don't speak too much when you have COVID because it gets into your lungs, and I can't have that. But again, we're going to do the show. We're going to have a great time, and then next week we'll be back full throttle. Scott Gamer Dude drops an outstanding $20 super chat. Says, hello, Boom. Hope you get better soon. Thank you for that, brother. He goes, I had the Hot Wheels tracks as a kid. By any chance, do you remember Sizzlers? Yes, I do. I had to collect cans and paper route to buy the tracks. We need an Evel Knievel game. Yeah, listen, dude, you're as old as me. Because I'm going to tell you this right now. If you remember this, folks, you are old. I had Evel Knievel. If you don't know who he is, he was a stunt superstar where he used to do these. He jumped the Grand Canyon in a rocket, right? He would jump 30 buses. And a lot of the times he got hurt. Like he got broke everything. And when I was a kid back in the 70s, because like I said, I'm old, they used to have Evel Knievel toys. And they used to take the motorcycle. He was like a bendable kind of a character, and you'd put him on the bike. You'd stand him standing, doing straight up and doing wacky things, and you'd rev the plastic little launcher. Oh my God! Wow, that is taking me back. Thank you for the super chat, and thank you for the memories. But listen, let's get Infinite Umbra on the conversation. Umbra, this is a big deal for Xbox fans. Obviously, they have well over 20 million players. That's not an accident. And you know, there's been some people that downplayed it all because it's in Game Pass, it's free, everyone's going to play. Not necessarily. Racing is a bit niche. And for them to find that kind of success right out of the gate is amazing. To have this new DLC return to Hot Wheels is even better. I can see them adding 3 to 5 million new players because people are going to want to play this. What is your excitement?
Well, my excitement, I love the previous ones. I mean, they had it in 3, which, like Chris pointed out, was in Australia, which probably was my favorite Forza Horizon, and then 4 had it eventually as well. So I think this is a long time thing they're going to continue doing. I was surprised when they showed it at the showcase being there for that, like the DLC would be this, because you know we had the Hot Wheels Unleashed. So I
Which
didn't
was
expect
just
it.
recent. That was last fall.
Exactly. I didn't expect it. So I have a buddy who streams the Hot Wheels Unleashed, and I was like, after I played Forza's, Hot Wheels tracks, I'm like, I couldn't go play that. I don't think it's going to match up. I figured it would be lesser. So it's interesting when they brought it here. So I was definitely excited during the showcase to see that make a return for this. And I think it's something that should be commonplace now with Forza Horizon. And I'm a big time like racing fan and such, and like specifically arcade racers, although I do appreciate the regular motorsport as well. But absolutely excited, man. And like you pointed out, I mean, 80 snappable like tracks that you can add on and do your thing with. I'm excited to see what some of the creators can come up with. And like the biomes, well, we got like 4 biomes, I believe, right? Giants Canyon, Ice Cauldron, rather, Forest Falls, and Horizon Nexus, and that's over close to 125 miles of track.
Wow.
To go through. That's a lot, man. That's ridiculous. So I'm actually really excited for that to show out a bit. I might have to race Dealer a few times when he's starting to feel a little bit better, because that's about all he plays. Every time I look at him, he's on Forza. But yeah, I'm actually really excited for it. It looks much better actually than even 3 and 4s did to me personally.
Yeah, dude, absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, did you all see the imagery of the top side view of the tracks, how it looks?
It's unbelievable,
bananas.
the detail. Yeah.
It looks insane. So I wonder, like, well, I guess they'll probably have some dinosaur head pop up like they did in the previous ones. But yeah, it looks really good. I'm actually really excited for it. And like what was pointed out by Risk, like we don't have a lot of AAA games to really fall back on at the moment. So it's interesting to have something like this come about. And then, of course, we got the As Dusk Falls. Of course, it's not AAA, but we got we don't have all the AAA games and the major showcase games, I guess, to really point to right now. But we do have a few games that's dropping that we can play outside of the games from Game Pass and things like that. So I think this is a definite win for Microsoft when it comes to that. And like you said, I can see it bringing in a few more million gamers, at least to Forza for sure. I mean, I can see it being over 25, if not 30 million by the end of this, I would imagine.
100%. Yeah, I agree. You bring new people into your game by bringing epic level of DLC. We've seen that time and time again. Seeing that Playground Games, in the midst of releasing Forza Horizon 5, in the midst of designing the next Fable, they do this epic level release in the form of DLC that's almost twice as long as the original is great. And that's not the only one. They're working on another one. I don't know what it's going to be and when they're going to stop, but I think that yes, you do invoke more interest, more eyes into a game that isn't Game Pass, right? And again, it's under $30 if you have Game Pass, like 26 and change after the 10% reduction. And if you are a savvy Microsoft points connoisseur like myself. You can pay for things and be like, I didn't pay shit. And that is awesome. Not like getting it for free, especially when it's this good. Let's get Boxenberger's or Hot Box, I should say. I mean, again, you and I have been very, very stingent on our personal disappointment with Microsoft for 2022. And we're not going to reiterate it because we've already said our piece. And it's just, it is what it is, folks. This is a real nice release on the same day as Dusk Falls. So you're getting a game and you're getting DLC. And like I said, As Dusk Falls is really good. Now, maybe it's not for everyone, and I get that, but it's going to be for someone. And it's really well done. What are your thoughts on playing this and actually seeing your kids, which, by the way, if you don't know, his kids love cars.
Yeah, they do, and they love Hot Wheels. They have like these big Hot Wheel garages with the dinosaur tracks and everything upstairs in their rooms. Hot Wheels is a kid favorite in our house, and Daddy loves it too. So yeah, I'm excited, and I can't wait to play. Forza Horizon 5 is this amazing game that is so fantastic for community game nights that we do usually on Fridays, sometimes during the weeks, and it's just always a big fun. And now we get new content, and it just looks phenomenal. Like Umbra said, this looks like probably the best DLC that they have done to date. We shall see. It's only like 8 minutes until it drops globally. So I don't want to encourage anyone to stop listening to the podcast. But right after the podcast, you guys can definitely go and start playing. And I can't wait to check it out. It looks phenomenal. I love the casual driving. I love the arcade racing games, even more like the hardcore racing sims like Forza Motorsport. So yeah, I'm super excited, and I'm not sure if it was Riskit or Umbra who said it. We have a dry streak right now. There's really not much coming out, and it's not just from Xbox. It's really also from the third-party publishers. So it's a welcome release, and I can't wait to play it.
Yeah, I agree. I love the fact that we are expanding a real place like Mexico, right? Obviously, this is it's fake, realization for the track being in Mexico, but the fact that they somehow figured out a way, Box, to incorporate all 4 biomes, which again, I've never been to Mexico, and I didn't realize. I mean, I knew that the country's culture. That's the thing about me and Mrs. Boom. We're culture fanatics. Like our thing for Netflix, and I've said this before, we are unbelievably addicted to Korean dramas, with subtitles and everything. We go all the way, and we are infatuated with that culture. We love it. We think it's very honorable and very special and very family oriented. Mexico is a location that could be looked upon as negative, drugs and cartels and things of that nature. But when you take a game like Forza and you see the love that's been poured into this game, you learn that there is a volcano in the middle of Mexico. There are snow Alps that you're driving in snow in a place that's known for 100+ degrees, like it is everywhere right now. I love that they have incorporated this almost double the size track that has now magnetized tracks, lots of loop-de-loops, big jumps, jumping through flames, and all the biomes are included in that. I just think it's a great time for Xbox to strategically, and I'm sure that there was a lot of strategy in, hey man, we don't have a lot going on. We need to do something for the people, because like I said, as Dusk Falls, I'm loving it, but it's very adult. and it's very telltale. If you're not that kind of a gamer, you're gonna be like, this is garbage. Mrs. Boom doesn't like it all. She's like, I don't like the graphics. What are you playing? I don't like it. And I'm like, it's a graphic novel. And she's like, nah, just not for me. And she'll go back to playing Animal Crossing. And you know what? That's, again, not every game is for every gamer. But ladies and gentlemen, we got to talk about the hotness, the story of stories, the story that will not go away. And that is Activision and Blizzard joining Microsoft. As you see by the thumbnail, I have the stamp of approved. Is it approved yet? No. Is it moments away from being approved? Well, that's up for debate. But in an article, folks, that I pulled from realmikecentral.com, and there were a couple of big stories that were released as well. Comicbook.com did one. There were a few others. TheGameRant.com did one as well. We saw one, a couple of the financial, Times ones. They did articles on this. And look, folks, the reality is this: Microsoft's big get in 2022 is not their version or their answer to God of War, or their answer to The Last of Us Remake, or Horizon, or or Gran Turismo 7. Now, take it for what it's worth. You're going to value those games on a higher and a lower scale. They're not all quote unquote bangers. They have a lot. The first two at the beginning of the year had a monster amount of problems. God of War, I'm expecting to be in my at least top 3 because I'm a huge Kratos fan and I loved God of War 2018. And Last of Us, well, the debate rages. Is Sony bending over their fan base? The answer is yes, they are. That game is not worth $70. I'm sorry. You're getting half a game. I'm going to stand on this stone and I'm going to die on it. When that game released, and that's the 4th iteration, the first 2 gave you factions. You're getting half a game. You're not getting factions. You're getting and it looks gorgeous, but it's a 1-to-1, folks. So
Can I jump in on that?
Please,
because I've been having quite a few conversations. This is something that's come up on Twitter quite a bit, and it's really interesting that a lot of the views on this. But you cannot argue the point that this game is worth $70 if you hold to the modicum of what these guys have been saying. What Sony said, which is the cost of development's been going up. If you're remaking a game, you're remastering a game, especially when you cut half of the game out, right?
Yes.
You have half the work to do. Well, you don't have half the work. That's probably a little bit generous. You've got maybe 3/4 of the work to do. You go straight to production.
Right.
You've already got level design.
Yeah.
You've got the asset placement. You've got your mocap that you can pull from it. Yet you've got to go back and redo your motion capture like animation. Yeah, but you've got the mocap. You've got the acting. You've got it storyboarded. You've got all of this stuff that takes a good 2 years, like minimum, for a good solid studio that's efficient. 2 years minimum to do. That's 2 years of wages, power, rent for overheads, all that stuff. That's you're talking probably pretty close to, if not in the millions, the hundreds of thousands of dollars that they're saving. So for people to say that this game could be worth, even if you remove the half of the game is not there, for people to say that this game is worth $70, it's just going back on exactly what they said before. It's like it's costing us more to develop these games, and that's why they're $70. This game just proves the fact that these guys they're greedy. That's what it is. Like you
know what? I want to add something to that. First of all, that was an amazing point. Very well thought out, very well broken down. A point that has been raging on. You have your Sony stands and their Xbox stands that be like, oh, Xbox is doing this and I love it, and Sony guys and gals are going, I love it because it made Last of Us meant so much to me because of the story. I hear you. I'm not going to argue with it. It's a great story. It's a classic IP, but it's also an IP that has seen an original release on the PS3, an HD remake, a remake HD remake for PC, and now a remaster of the HD remake original release. Talk about going back to the well. Now, I'm not saying the game isn't great, but from what we understand, it is a 1-to-1 game. There's no cutting room floor added to this that makes you play a level you've never seen. It's literally 1-to-1, and I'm saying that because of what they showed me. Now, could there be some hidden gems in there that they show a whole other level you never got to? Maybe, but they're not telling me that, so I can only go based on what they're telling me. This wasn't a topic, but this is something that if anybody wants to jump in and give their 2 cents about, it is a hot topic. There are people that believe that this game is worth $70. And if you do, I'm not arguing. I'm not saying that you're wrong. You're right. I'm saying that's your opinion, and good on you to spend the money. But here's my point. Microsoft does day and date for a multitude of reasons. Some people call it a Hail Mary, so to speak. And they continue to do it and release games first party day and date. And that is building Game Pass for them. Personally, I find this to be an unbelievable miss. And here's why. For Sony, they just launched their service. Now, I have their maximum service until the middle of 2023 because I had 2 years worth. And I got an email and said, hey, for $33, Mr. BoomStick XL on PlayStation, you can upgrade to the maximum tier. So I said, well, for $33, why not? I'm probably not going to do the 119, but then again, maybe they prove me wrong. Stray's in there, and Stray is day and date. That's awesome. This was an opportunity for Sony to sell their service to the diehards and say, hey, diehard PlayStation fans, the ones that love the brand, right? That are with us for greatness. If you join this service, maximum tier, you get this game day and date. It would have sold millions upon millions of subs. A lot more than per game. But like Riskett said, they're greedy. Anybody want to add to this?
Oh yeah, I'm fully behind what Riskett said. It definitely shows like it's really not about increased development cost. Because I would go even further. A remaster or remake is probably even at around a quarter of the
development cost,
development time, if not less. Seriously, because the biggest parts and the biggest challenges is basically conceptual work. Yeah, like finding the right gameplay mechanics, finding the right stories, finding what works and what doesn't work. You all don't have to do that. You don't have to do the audio recording. You don't have to do all that stuff. Finding the art styles, doing concept arts, and so on. You don't have to do that. It is like it is. It is Creed, and I get that value is subjective. I hear that every time when I see people defending the $70 US, which is 80 euros here across Europe. That's of course value is subjective. Like Call of Duty, I don't play the multiplayer. I enjoy the campaigns, but for me a full price title that I can play like 5 to 6 hours and then I'm done with the campaign isn't worth it. Obviously for others that's different. So yeah, value is subjective, but at the end, Boom, it comes back to what you have said about Game Pass day and date. The thing with Game Pass is that Microsoft changed the way how we perceive value in gaming. It just is. And we have all these day and date drops now on Game Pass, and we have big AAA third-party games coming like 3 to 6 months after launch into the service. So yeah, value in gaming has changed. And I find it so weird that people actually defend that one company made gaming more expensive than ever before, while the other one has made gaming cheaper than ever before.
Yeah,
and it's not just Sony. I also want to mention like 2K and other publishers that did it, but
Nintendo.
even the Nintendo, yeah,
they're even one of the worst anti-consumerist video game companies in the business.
So I just don't want to put it all on Sony. We just discuss Sony all the time because it's one of the major platform holders, and they are the direct competitor, of course, to Xbox. But it's obviously a bunch of publishers. Others like Ubisoft or EA didn't do it so far. The thing for me is like, yeah, value is subjective, but on the other hand, I really don't get it, because all these companies, each and every one that has increased the game prices, has reported for the last decade, each and every quarter, a record-breaking quarter for them. Each and every quarter they report, we have record-breaking revenue, this and this much percent of growth in our business, and so on. So are they making less money because the development costs have gone up? No, they are not. Monetization, in-game monetization is one part of it. The significantly larger player base that we have these days, simply more people play games like they did 10, 15, 20 years ago, makes them more money even with increased development costs. So
Absolutely.
I don't really see that as an argument. And at the end, it really comes down if that people just want to defend their favorite brand, because I have not seen anyone defend the price increase of 2K. I just haven't. I've only seen defended on the Sony side, and that's the thing. I don't think it is healthy for the gaming industry in total that, like I said in my initial statement, one company can make gaming cheaper than ever before, while the other one tries to make it more expensive. And I don't see any reason why we should defend this.
It's amazing, Box. I've been in spaces, man, with a lot of these PlayStation cats, and they will go out of their way to make a defense for these types of things, and it's insane to me. I had one guy, and I was telling him, like, I'll never pay $70 for a game, a base game, not a base game, because I know that ultimately it's a greedy cash grab, in some way. And I dread the day that Microsoft may go there. But at the same time, we know that we have Xbox Game Pass at least to fall back on. So that's the beauty of our side here, if you will, versus PlayStation side. And I say that having a PS5 and perusing it right now to get that Stray Cat game right now. Anyway, but that beside that, just to say, I disagree with the whole $70 thing, and Risk made a great point. And he always goes at it with these guys. It's not the same type of development cycle and everything else put into it, and money and time into that. So why is it still $70? And it's $70, and I have to have this argument with these PlayStation guys. $70 for a game that is lacking content that the original game had, and they keep making this excuse. Well, you got better animations and such, and it is graphically improved. That doesn't tell me that that's worth $70. It's just a prettier game. That's all it is. So I'm with you on that.
It's this thing where it like, if you're a PlayStation fan or whatever, and you're okay with spending $70 on a game, it's perfectly fine. I've got no problem with that. I'm going to be spending $70 on God of War Day One, and I'm probably not going to regret that. I'm gonna go out
I'm
on
right there
say
with you.
Probably gonna be okay with that. What I don't understand is the side of it where you'll go into those Twitter spaces or a comment section or something, and they'll be like, yeah, but Xbox gamers don't buy their games. And it's like, what? Not if I don't have to, like,
right.
Like, I'm gonna take the opportunity to save the money. I've got the subscription. They're getting the money that they need from that. In terms of like The Last of Us Part 1 in particular, it's weird to me though, because it's like, I'm gonna pass on that, right? I don't think that a remake or a remaster is worth $70 to me. It falls in that same category as like the Switch OLED model, where it's like, if you don't have a Switch, that's the version to get. But if you already have one, then it's probably not worth the upgrade. You know what I mean? So it's like, if you haven't played Last of Us, it is still one of the best games of all time. And you should, if you're going to buy it now, this new version is probably the way to do it. Even though it doesn't have factions. Because I think, didn't they shut down factions on the original version anyway? So factions is just dead across the board, I think.
Yeah.
So bummer, I guess.
Well, they announced factions 2 2 years ago, and as PlayStation gamers who are waiting for that, well, they're still waiting.
Well, we got a concept art, which is really exciting. You know, I saw people popping off
Yeah.
for the PS5 logo, so I think maybe we're on that same level of excitement here.
And Danny, that's the
20
funny part, right? Because these same guys will argue, "Oh, I don't want to see that. I want to see gameplay. I don't want to see CGI, et cetera, et cetera." But when they saw that artwork, they were hyping it up. So that's
Yeah,
why I
of
can't
course.
take some of them
Yeah.
serious.
Yeah.
And look, I'll add as well. It is like Danny said, one of the greatest games of all time. That's 110%. I don't like paying $70, but I make enough money to pay $70 for a game that's worth it. And even for maybe games that aren't, and because I love that game, I am actually going to probably pay $70 to get the remake. I'll definitely be getting God of War Ragnarok as well, even though I completely don't agree with it. But I might be spending the money, but I'm not out here like saying that it's a damn good thing. I just don't get it. It's like if you've got a company selling an ice cream over here that's exactly the same as, well, not exactly the same, but it's slightly different ice cream over here, and this one, is charging you $70, and this one's saying like you can have as many ice creams as you want any time of the day, any day of the year, and it's only going to cost you $15 like a month. What? It's a no. How is it an arguable thing? It's just the most craziest thing I've ever seen, and I only ever saw it when I entered Twitter, and I heard it was crazy. And it's true.
No, listen, it rages on, and it will continue to be used for console war. We handled it like gentlemen. We all had our opinions. Risk It is going to buy it. There's nothing wrong with that. That's awesome. For me, I'll wait for it to come to the service as one of the games that drops in there 6 months from now. And I will play through it because I played through it twice. Loved every second of it. Will quite enjoy this one, but I'm going to use the service that I pay for in order to continue to enjoy the remaster of the remake of the whatever. But listen, I'm glad we took 5 seconds or 10 minutes really to get into that particular topic, because I think it is worth a conversation because it has been raging. But let's get to ABK, folks. This is something that popped off in the same week that an analyst from Yahoo Finance made mention and basically called the ad deal for Netflix and Microsoft a Trojan horse for an eventual acquisition. They are hurting. They have lost consecutive monies for I believe it's the last six years. They did lose 200,000 subscribers in their last financials, but they still have 220 million customers. So they are still making money. Obviously, the price increase cost them to lose a lot of customers because, well, right now the world sucks. Gas is $5, cream cheese is $7, a box of cereal here in New Rochelle, New York is $8, which is freaking bonkers. So inflation has gone up. And again, I know it's not a business channel, but I watch the news because I'm a retired guy and I have to make the money work. Inflation for here in New Rochelle, in New York, has gone up 41%. And it's the highest in the last 2 decades. That's why Game Pass is so amazing, because it allows for us to still be a part of the conversation at a cheap $15 a month price. And that's why I think that eventually next year, whether that be January, February, or otherwise, Netflix is going to be acquired by Microsoft. You heard it here first. But we're here to talk about current events. And current events has Microsoft acquiring in what we thought was the biggest deal since sliced bread in Bethesda. This 10 times trumps it both in price and in what it's going to do for the industry. More specifically, what it's going to do for Microsoft and Xbox fans. There has been reports, and like I said, Hogue Law, who is a big fan, I'm a big fan of his. He's been on the show multiple times. Had a great video where he talked about it potentially not happening as quick as August, and he gave why. I agree and understand his point of view, But I'm more of the half full kind of a guy rather than half empty kind of a glass guy. And I'm going to just stay with my original opinion that I think that it was been reported, according to this report, that Microsoft has in fact sent the last bit of required information that the FTC, that Lena Khan, head of the FTC, is looking for. With that said, folks, they have 30 days, meaning the FTC has 30 days to request more information, potentially holding up the deal. The leaked report suggests that Microsoft is incredibly satisfied. Brad Smith, who is leading the charge on this deal for Microsoft, has responded and has provided all of the information that has been required by the FTC. Now, if you remember when this deal first took place, folks, we had Senator Warren of Washington, D.C., along with a bunch of New York senators talking about, well, we want to stop this deal because we're concerned about workers. How are the workers going to be treated? Well, 2 weeks ago, the biggest union in this country, not only armed with Microsoft, gave a letter to the FTC saying, no, we are with Microsoft and we are okay with this deal. And to be honest with you, and again, I'm coming at this from a very, very small lens. So if I sound ignorant, please forgive me. But I believe that instance chopped the legs out from under the FTC in regards to holding up the deal. Because there was a lot of the rhetoric on the fanboy aspect of gaming that called this a monopoly. How dare Microsoft spend this money? They're going to own everything. Well, technically, they're going to own Call of Duty and a bunch of IPs from Activision. They're going to own. They're going to be tied with, with PC on Blizzard because they're one of the biggest PC supporters. And King is going to, like I said, I think the King deal almost levies the Xbox Game Pass for mobile. $5 a month, $4.99, and you get all of these perks. And I think that's going to happen. Now, I don't have inside knowledge, but that's just my opinion. When you look at what Microsoft is getting and where they're going to be in the market, they're still going to be number 3. And, you go from 61st to 1st, I see there's problems. You go from 3rd and you stay at 3rd even after this $68.7 billion deal, I don't see the problem because the market leader, who is that, folks? That is Sony. They continue to be that leader. Now, how much more are they going to be that leader? How much longer? Well, I couldn't honestly tell you, but I think that their grasp is slipping. Now, according to the report that I pulled, there is leaked information that this deal could, in fact, be done, at least here in the States, by the end of August. The FTC has 30 days to respond in kind, whether or not they're going to block this deal either via lawsuit or ask and request for more information. Now, it was brought to my attention, thanks to this incredible video by Hogue Law, that they don't approve or disapprove the deal. Them, the Department of Justice or the FTC. What they do is simply just don't respond. And then after 30 days, Microsoft and Activision can shake hands and pass the money on the right-hand side and call it a day, or pass the duchy on the right-hand side. And if you're old like me, you remember that song from the 80s. If that winds up happening, then at least here in this country, it gets done. Now, we do know that both the UK, the EU, Africa, which is also looking into this, there are several other countries that have asked for additional information. They normally move side by side with the FTC. The FTC usually is the stake in the ground, and everyone's like, yep, if it's good for you, it's probably good for the rest of us, and everyone just goes. That was made very apparent in the Bethesda deal when 24 hours after the FTC approved it, so did the EU and the UK. Risk it. Let's get your opinion on this. This is not only the biggest deal for gaming, this is the biggest deal for Microsoft. And it is going to levy a position in the market that even though Call of Duty will remain multi-plat, I have zero problem with that. You will have Call of Duty in Xbox Game Pass. day and date. Now, and then again, that's after Sony's deal runs out. Microsoft is not going to renew it. Activision is not going to renew it. And whether that's next year or the year after, eventually Call of Duty, one of the most played games, the most sold games each and every year, even if it sucks, it sells. This is a big deal. Where do you, seeing what Hogue had to say, reading the show notes, are you confident that this deal could in fact get done by August?
I am and have been for a while. And I think I've been battling this out with one of my panelists for months now, which Umbra would attest to. Against Pete, like Pete does not think so. I have been pretty positive. If you listen to when they announced the deal, and they said it was fiscal year 2023. A lot of people don't understand that we are in the beginning of fiscal year 2023. So we're
That's
already
entirely correct. That's right. It happens June 30th in this country. Yes.
And so as well, they also did say somewhere, I'm pretty sure I heard them a quote from someone saying around mid fiscal year. That could have been just like, there's a lot of talk about this. We talk about this a lot. It's one of the biggest things happening in the industry, if not the biggest thing ever to have happened in the industry. And look, I'm of the opinion that it's going to happen. I think the FTC is not going to ask for more information. I think that they would do that to slow it down if they had some sort of an agenda to do so. I don't think they can. There's nothing there for them to give them the reason to ask for more information. I can't see them bringing a lawsuit for this. And as you said, we've got to wait for the UK and the EU. But as you said, after Bethesda, it was 24 hours and they jumped straight on suit. If the FTC doesn't block this deal, which is what it is, it's not approving, like you said, it's blocking. So they do often block. And the reason they don't approve, from my understanding, is that I'm not Hogue's law, so I don't know. But the reason that they don't approve things is because they could roll back this deal 2-3 years down the line. And they can do that with any deal. They can come back and look at it and go, well, actually, we should have blocked it. We're with the new government and we're going to do this, right? So that's why they don't actually hand out approvals. They just don't block things. They just vet them out.
Hogue Law did a video like 6 months ago when the deal was announced on this. It's actually a little bit different. The thing why they approve it so quickly is that they legally have to, the FTC has legally to approve it first. So they've gone through their review process up front. And once, and the company, and the thing is that the country in which the company is located, it has its headquarters in, like where they pay their taxes, basically. That country has to approve it first, and then legally all the other institutions can approve it. But if that has not happened, that cannot be. So
from my understanding, it's not an approval process. They just do their due diligence and vet the thing, and then they don't block it. So it's not like really an approval, from what my understanding.
The FTC is not really approving it. But we should have asked Hogue because he made a video on this a while ago.
We actually made a video yesterday on it.
Basically remembered it. So it is like legally the FTC has to approve it first, and then before that, the EU and the UK and China can't sign it off. And that's what happened with Bethesda as well. So the review process is obviously going on right now. I made a video about this last week where we stand on in the other countries, like the UK, for instance, has a big deadline coming up tomorrow. So everyone who has objections in the UK can hand in their cases until tomorrow, and then they have to give a feedback on those objections by September 1st. So, for instance, that's the deadline for the UK. The EU has requested like 2 months ago all their files and stuff and informations, and they have their deadline in fall. So these investigations are going on in the other countries as well, but since Microsoft is located in the US, they have to sign it off first.
I mean, listen, again, is it going to go in August? We don't know. And Riskit brings up a great point, because they did say halfway through 23 fiscal quarter. Halfway through, folks, if you're not familiar, would be January, would be December. So it is a possibility that unless they prove, and like I said, I really think the sticking point here was the unions, the human element. What was Microsoft going to do in regards to the workers who want to form a union so they're protected, their jobs are protected? And Microsoft said, we are not going to argue with it. We're going arm in arm. They sided with the union. The union sent a letter to the FTC saying, no, we're not blocking this deal. They've made it very abundantly clear that they are for the people. With that put out there, that really does pull the rug out from under the FTC and why they would disapprove it. But please continue, Risk It.
Oh, yeah, no, look, I was basically saying that's what I was kind of alluding to, is that there's no reason. And I don't know if you remember the employees, I think it was from Raven Software. It
was Raven. Yeah.
Actually wrote a letter to Microsoft asking them to step in and help with the union, which they can't legally do. And so then you have a senator coming out and saying that they're concerned about how the workplace culture would end up. But when you've got employees writing to Microsoft, you've got unions approving it to the FTC, saying that they want this merger. It's a foregone conclusion. I think it was a foregone conclusion from the beginning. Whether it lands in August or not, I think that is all red tape. So if they can get the red tape and all that sort of stuff done and out the way, then it would be great to see it in August. But then you've also got to think, when are we going to start seeing things landing in Game Pass? Like, they've got, like you said, they've got to deal with PlayStation. So when is it going to be a beneficial thing for us? And there's a lot of moving parts within Activision, Blizzard, and with PlayStation as well. They've got deals with Call of Duty and that. So what we see coming to Game Pass, if we get it in August, may not be what we want immediately. But I'm thinking by the end of 2023, not fiscal year, but by the end of 2023, we're going to start to see most of the bangers that come out of Activision Blizzard going straight to Game Pass. I don't think that's I think it's a kind of a wait and see thing. I don't know if we're going to get it in August. I want it in August. I'm hopeful. That may be coloring my opinion. But when it comes to Game Pass, guys, I think it's a Microsoft like monicum at the moment. Be patient.
When we talked about this on the podcast, Risk.
Yeah, you know what? Take it away, Infinite. Give us your opinion on this.
Sorry about that. Yeah, I was just going to say, when we talked about this on the podcast, my guess, and I have no way of knowing anything, of course, but my guess was I figured it would be done in the fall. I don't know if you remember that, Risk. I was like, well, I think it'll probably be done this year in the fall. Mm-hmm. So. Mm-hmm. I think that kind of lines up with it still. August, if it comes in August, I will be highly surprised. I'll be highly happy too. But I think one thing we can all say for sure is that Microsoft had it all planned out. This whole 12-month thing they got planned out. You see Diablo 4 in there. You see Modern Warfare 2. Now, of course, like Risky pointed out, they have a deal.
The Xbox stage.
Yeah. As far as releases from Activision, I meant to say, that's what I mean by that. But now, of course, PlayStation has a marketing deal with Modern Warfare 2, so that's not going to likely pop up inside of Game Pass, obviously, knowing Sony, right? And seeing what we saw with the Resident Evil situation. But at the very least, they can, offload all those previous billion-dollar making Call of Duty games of the past into Game Pass, which would be monumental for the service in the fall if they did so. I think at the very least, what we can all look forward to is by next year, before Diablo 4 or any of these games come out, is that will be part of the games that'll launch day and date. That's the biggest thing I take away from it. So even if it's not a matter of that it's done by August, which I hope it is, just to get it out of the way, and because I'm greedy, I told you, I want Microsoft to get this and then go after somebody else. That's how I am. But and they'll argue with me. PlayStation guys get mad. Why? Why do you want them to buy it? Because I am greedy. I told you.
Nothing wrong with that, brother. Listen,
yes, they buy it. I get it on Game Pass. That's all I care about.
But here's an interesting point to your. I want everything dropped into Game Pass. Right now, if you go hunting, not hard, Amazon.com or fatkiddeals.com, whatever, you can get yourself an Xbox Series S for $239 right now. Pretty much every day you can get it for $240. If you're a frugal gamer, you trade some stuff in, you use reward points, however you fugazi the system. That's not illegal. Good on you for doing so. I have a theory that if this deal is done before Call of Duty, before Black Friday 2022, Microsoft goes and dumps every possible game, specifically Call of Duty, into Xbox Game Pass. That's not Modern Warfare 2 because Sony has the marketing rights. But will it matter if Call of Duty is on the box and they've just dropped 20 up-res Call of Duties of the past into Xbox Game Pass? Which, by the way, this new old console known as the Series S is $199.99, and it comes with packed in, whether it be 30 days or 90 days of Xbox Game Pass. You're going to see a scenario very similar to what Sony saw with the PlayStation 4 and Spider-Man. Remember that thing was $200, and they broke records unseen to this day of Spider-Man and the PlayStation 4. The normies, the moms and pops, the people that are looking to buy gifts for their grandsons and granddaughters went and stood online and potentially assaulted others so they can get their $200 special edition Spider-Man console, which, by the way, is worth about $1,000 right now in the box. I can see that happening, and it's, again, is it going to make up that they don't have any first-party bangers? No, it's not, but it's going to sell the service. It's going to sell consoles. It's going to bring people into the marketplace, and if they continue to do that, and they are doing that right now with no bangers, wait until 2023. Then, folks, we have a conversation. Daniel, let's get your opinion on this. What are your thoughts on this deal getting done in August? Is it a long shot? Is it wishful thinking?
Well, I do think it's probably wishful thinking. That doesn't mean that it won't happen or can't happen. I would love for it to end in August because that's my birth month, and I would love to have all that content to be able to very easily be made.
Did you set that up so we could get you gifts?
Yes, yeah, I did.
I knew it.
Yeah, and I accept PayPal and YouTube subscriptions. Thank you. But no, it's I'm not a merger and acquisition lawyer, right? So I have no idea what the process is, right? I don't know who has to approve what first, or which countries also have to have a say in it before things get done. What I will say as a small town pizza lawyer is that they have experience with this now, right? Like they've already gone through this with Bethesda once. So I imagine that at this point, they should sort of know what the FTC is looking for. They should know that process a little bit better. And so maybe that's speeding things along. I didn't realize that they meant fiscal year 2023 when they were talking about when it was going to be done. So that certainly does move the timeline up to being probably done in the next, 3 to 4 months. So that would be really exciting. It's sort of this thing where I can very easily see any number of things coming up to slow this process down or, otherwise screw it up. But it'll go through. It won't be, rejected or anything. But what I'm really more interested in seeing is what's going to happen immediately after it gets approved, right? I want to see, how long does Bobby Kotick stick on, right? I want to see.
I think he's gone almost instantaneously.
Oh, I hope so. Yeah. Absolutely. I want to see, what are the first announcements that they make about Activision afterwards? Like when
he's gone straight away.
I do. I think that it's all been worked out. He is a cancer. They're going to give him his multiple $1 million parachute, and he's going to never work again. He's going to be the same scumbag that he is now.
I think he's definitely a scumbag, but he's a scumbag with the ins and outs of the business. Not saying that no one else has the ins and outs of the business, right. But if you're handing over a company, I don't know if I'd sack that CEO immediately. Maybe I'd give him at least a month, at least a month, and then fill that parachute.
The only reason that I think he might be gone a little bit before that is because I think I might be mistaken on this. I think he just switched positions to where he's not like
making all the major decisions.
Yeah, he's not making the decisions. He's just like in charge of the board, and the board's going to be gone basically as soon as the deal is done. again, I don't really understand exactly how the business side of it works because I'm not a businessman. So it could go either way. But I'm really excited to see what those first announcements after it gets finalized are. Right? Are they saying, hey, we're gonna pull what is it, Visceral Games? We're gonna pull them back out from the Call of Duty mines and we're gonna let them start doing their own things again. Or like Raven's gonna start doing this, or those first announcements that they make as to what they're going to do with Activision, who's going to be in charge of Activision, I think are going to set the precedent and the tone for what that company is going to be for the next 10 to 15 years. And so that's the thing that I'm most looking forward to. And so the sooner we can get that information, the better.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's good stuff. And obviously the human element that leads the charge for Microsoft's decisions is at the forefront of this deal. Yeah, did they do it to save the world? No. Did they do it at a time where this company was spiraling out of control and they saw a wounded animal? 100%. And because of their financial prowess, they're going to make this a better company. It's going to take years. They're going to need to put the people in the right places and make sure that at the forefront of every decision comes the human element. And Microsoft as a whole, if you look at the way they do their business, the human element is paramount to how they work. This isn't the 90s scumbag Microsoft. This is a much kinder, well-oiled machine that understands that people matter. They're not just cogs in a wheel. And under the tutelage of both Satya Nadella and people like Phil Spencer and Sarah Bond and Matt Booty and Aaron Greenberg and the rest of the incredible amount of team that is over at Redmond, this is going to take some time, but it's going to be done right. And I would love to see them. I know that, like, boom, you're talking about console sales. Microsoft doesn't care. They actually don't, because they want you in the service. But if you can sell, 8 million consoles over a holiday because you added every Call of Duty in the history of the franchise in there, and you add Game Pass, well, why not? But Boxenberg, close it out, man. Close out this show that saw over 450 people, and somehow I could either I'm breathing on my own, which is great. I haven't had any real problems. The mic went a couple coughs that I closed the mic with, but talk about it, man. What is the significance of this deal? More so, it getting done this year, whether that be in August, September, December. What are your thoughts?
Well, I would like to start with the last question. When is it gonna finish? I think like August is not gonna happen. That just seems so quick for a deal this size. If we look at other mergers and acquisitions in the tech industry, even the ones that failed, like from when Nvidia tried to buy ARM or stuff like that, those things take a little longer. And in June, Brad Smith, president of Microsoft, came out and said that he's happy with the pace and everything moves quickly, but that they have entered just the middle phase of the whole thing. And now we get like 2 months later, bam, the deal is done. I don't think that that's realistic. End of the year is what we are talking here. End of December, maybe January, February, beginning of next year. This is when I expect this deal to be done. Obviously, they don't want to drag it out too long. And Hogue also talked about this in his latest video, that there's also some mechanisms in place that the FTC can't postpone the decision making for too long. Like there are people really coming in and even check if it's okay, if the requests from the FTC are okay. Like, do they not just want every email because they want to delay the acquisition or something like that? So I don't think there will be problems with this deal. Boom, and you elaborated on this, and a couple of others as well here on the panel. the unionizing is going well. Even the European Union seems to not have a big issue with this kind of deal, and they have been very, very critical over the last years when it comes to mergers and acquisitions of American tech companies. But even the signs there look good so far. So I don't think there will be any issues, but I think we are talking here like December, January, February, that kind of time window. And yeah, about the significance of this entire deal. I mean, really can't add anything to what hasn't already been said, because this is the biggest acquisition in gaming history. It will bring in some of the most valuable IPs and games into the Microsoft roster. We are always talking about Call of Duty, but I also want to mention that this deal is probably not just about console gamers. This is really the move towards PC
and mobile,
with games like World of Warcraft and such, and mobile, of course, with King being one of the biggest mobile game publishers in the world as well. I think that's where the $70 billion come from. Because if you look realistically on it, the portfolio will not explode immediately. There will be, of course, like a big backlog coming into the Game Pass. But in terms of what is Activision working on right now, it's only Call of Duty. Right. All of the studios are working on Call of Duty. So you get like one game a year from them. And Blizzard is working on a Diablo 3 that took them like 13 years to make. And we have an Overwatch 2 coming, but it is not like you get this 10.
It's not going to be an onslaught of
no. But if you look towards the PC side, and if you look towards the mobile side, this is really where the value comes in for them. And they have openly talked about, Microsoft has openly talked about them wanting to reach 3 billion gamers, and they will not do that by focusing on console gamers only. Yeah, the console market is like 250 to 300 million players, and that's about it. So if they want to grow their gaming business towards these 3 billion, they have to expand beyond the console, and that is one big move for that. They will reach the mobile market, and can you imagine, like, you get a lot of incentives for a what's that game? I'm blanking on it. The big mobile game from King, Candy Crush.
Candy Crush. Yes.
Yeah, my wife is playing that, and
my wife
I don't want to talk too much about what she is spending on it. But if I can get rid of those costs, what she is spending on Candy Crush, and just get her a Game Pass subscription, our family business is gonna look a lot better. But you know what I mean?
Candy Crush to Game Pass and just
my god,
exactly.
Yes. and you know, on the back end of that conversation,
and they will. I have no doubt that they will. This is the move that they will do with this. They will have like a Game Pass tier for mobile. It will bring you into the service.
The Riot Games thing is even more.
So big. Exactly, it is so big, and you can really tell that the big moves like Riot, no one talks about that, but it is a significant move in the PC market. If they convert like I also think World of Warcraft subscribers into Game Pass subscribers, and I think that's what they're gonna do. They just will tell everyone, okay, here is your World of Warcraft subscription. This doesn't exist anymore. You have to subscribe to Game Pass, and they will just convert those subscriptions over. It's the same amount of money. Yeah, it's the same amount of money.
Definitely winner chicken dinner, because their monthly subscription is $15 for
exactly.
I don't think that they'll just convert it. Like, I don't think that they'll just be like, hey,
but like I said, they will convert it. They will convert the existing World of Warcraft subscriptions into Game Pass, and bam, suddenly you get like another 3, 4, 5 million gamers there. You have the Riot deal with League of Legends, one of the biggest games in the world, and then you have like games like a Candy Crush, and people are spending more than $10 a month, which is the base amount for Game Pass subscription. So if you can give them some incentives, and make it worth their while to subscribe to Game Pass for Candy Crush, suddenly you have those subscribers, and then we are talking a reach way beyond what the console market has to offer, and they are gonna get closer with those kind of moves towards the 3 billion gamers.
Don't forget
combining
Samsung
that
as well.
of
Samsung
Yeah.
TVs, that's a lot bigger than anyone I think knows.
Exactly.
You're not just expanding into mobile or PC, you're expanding into people's living rooms, TVs,
into
making
the
it so easy.
living rooms. That's what
Yeah.
is the next piece of the puzzle. Yeah, like xCloud. You have this Candy Crush player. Yeah, he's not gonna try out xCloud because he has to subscribe to the service he doesn't know anything about. My wife wouldn't do that. Even if but now she gets like all these incentives for Candy Crush if she subscribes to it, and suddenly she can try out xCloud for free. And there you go. That's how you lure people into this. And then, oh wait, and the same account is also available on my TV, and I don't even have to buy that console anymore.
Yeah.
Awesome stuff. This is how you get people into the ecosystem, but this is a long-term move. Yeah, and you also get the diehard PC community into the subscription service, where you get to this point where even the biggest biggest critiques of Microsoft, and there are a lot of people in the PC gaming community that are very critical towards Xbox or towards Microsoft, but the value is just there if you get like all these add-ons for League of Legends in there, yeah, and Valorant and all these
the League of Legends. If people don't know how big of a deal this is, Boxenberg, and I know that you've talked about this not only on on videos, but you're on your show that you do weekly. It's over $1,000 for every character if you were to buy them with real world cash. But guess what?
So
in this fall, you get them all for the price of $15. It's madness.
Yeah,
Not only
and it's
that,
hundreds
but the
of
whole League of
millions of
Legends
players
Riot
each
thing.
and every month.
Exactly.
Yeah, pardon me.
I was going to say what
yeah.
Box just said. It's like 160 some odd million players playing those things.
That is insane. Yeah, and you get those into Game Pass, and then you get like the World of Warcraft players in there. And of course, the Blizzard community in general, and I'd call it that, on PC into the subscription service. Yeah, if you Diablo,
well, I mean, under the
gonna be
leadership
massive.
of Mike Ybarra, who's the president right now, you know it's in good hands. He's a gamer.
Absolutely.
He's a PC guy. That's his thing.
I'm just wondering.
And so
I'm just wondering, by the way, guys, if they can parlay these games like the World of Warcrafts and they already got Diablo, for instance. Can they parlay something like the World of Warcraft into Xbox?
I don't see why they couldn't. I'm going to be honest with you. I mean, you can use a mouse and keyboard, but I think with the proper development, I'm sure that they could make it work with a controller.
They already have. They actually already have. With some of the
there you
modding
go.
community actually already has controller support. I mean, it's a mod community, but they have controller support for WoW already. So that's if they could do it, Microsoft could do it.
Good point.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's what I think I think that would actually help grow it even bigger to me. I think
absolutely.
sure.
And I mean, long term, if we speak long term, Microsoft also acquired a ton of valuable IPs that Blizzard and Activision is not using right now. Of course, we're talking StarCraft here. We're talking the original Warcraft.
When they
Pitfall.
announced the rebirth of StarCraft, the world is going to crack open, folks. FYI.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I think but that's all stuff that is long term, because with the development times in the Xbox studios, we are talking 2030 here. But the thing is, there's much more to this than meets the eye to this entire deal. It is not just about console gaming, even though we are focusing in the discussions often on how big is Call of Duty. And yes, it is a big deal, but I think that's not the $80 billion. That's just one little piece of it. The bigger piece is that this allows them to expand their gaming efforts beyond the console business, and that's what the deal is all about. And it's exciting to see because it's unprecedented in the gaming space, and I can't wait to see how Microsoft is going to change Activision Blizzard, because it sometimes is really sad if you think about it, how Activision Blizzard is treating their valuable IPs
100%.
like a StarCraft, like a Tony Hawk, and all of these Crash Bandicoot and so on. And
Spyro
there's so much
and all of that. Yep.
Pitfall, unused for like 2 decades now, and it's just
Bigger than
every
that
studio.
box too are those 6 different studios, like the helper studios helping out for Call of Duty games that could be making their own
Yeah.
IP.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
We've talked about that
absolutely.
many times. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
craziness the amount of support studios these guys
I
have.
mean, Toys for Bob, who makes platformers, and they're one of the best in the business, could make my Banjo-Kazooie. And instead,
There you go.
they're a support studio for Call of Duty, like
Right.
the salt mines of Activision.
It's crazy.
Exactly.
Raven Software. Raven
Yeah, I
could be
think
making
that's-
another X-Men Legends, for instance.
I think that's the most important thing as soon as this deal goes through is just to pull, I don't know, 4 or 5 of those studios off and just say, what do you want to make? Here's all the
and that's
IP
probably
we
what they're
own.
going to do.
What do you want to
Agreed.
make?
100% agreed.
Yeah.
And I think that will happen too, because Raven doing what they did with the whole,
Remember Singularity from Raven?
Yeah. I
That
remember that.
game is a hidden 360 absolute banger
It
that a
is.
lot of people overlooked.
But if you look at their pedigree with X-Men Legends, like
Yeah,
that right
dude,
there is a
100%.
classic right there.
Yeah.
I can see them, we talk about Xbox needing a superhero game. Who better than to have Raven to have to do one of these types,
Do
like
a
do a
Diablo
superhero team.
style X-Men.
Yeah, absolutely.
Legends. Oh my god,
Yeah.
yes.
They would kill it.
Yeah.
And I know they would be happy to get off Call of Duty. I know they would. I know most of the studios that's helping them probably like, yes, please
It does.
release
It
us.
does.
Release us from the salt mines, please.
Right.
Somebody, jailer, please. I need water.
I mean,
listen, ladies and
I've
gentlemen.
I've said it before. I think like Microsoft is gonna eventually turn Call of Duty into not a yearly release, but into a more ongoing game.
Yes,
Because that seems to be their thing. And then they will have like Sledgehammer and all these studios make their either a campaign or something completely new. But then you have like a campaign dropping each 3 years or so, and you will get on a yearly basis these big map pack drops into the ongoing continued Call of Duty live service kind of thing, and they will bring Warzone in there and all these things. That is what I predict is eventually going to happen. Not the day that the deal is done, but eventually that is the route Xbox is going to take, because that will free up so many resources within Activision Blizzard. Like Riskit said, the amount of support studios that they can then also use for all their other studios, like they have dozens of studios that do nothing but playtesting, and
it's crazy.
they can also help
gross.
out on other IPs from the other studios and such things. And eventually that's what I think is gonna happen.
I think the biggest thing. Sorry, Risk. I was going to just say. I was just going to say. I think the biggest takeaway though is that I think at this point we all know it's a foregone conclusion that this is going to get passed, and I think by the end of this year it'll probably be the case. But either way, I think it'll happen before something like Diablo 4 hits. And so that's the biggest thing for me. So we're going to have a crazy 2023. So I'm just excited in general for the future.
For sure.
I agree. I expect Diablo to drop at the very end of that 12-month span. So like we are talking here May or June. That's when we will see a Diablo drop. And by then the deal will be done and it will be a day one Game Pass game. No doubt.
I can't wait.
think the best thing about this whole thing is that there's no, to me, I mean, obviously the best things are games, right? We get the games. But the best thing I think about this whole thing happening the way it all fell is that Microsoft is definitely the best positioned publisher or console maker to fix the problems that they have at ABK, and then to also take the risks with the talent that they have at ABK to produce some of the best IPs that we may not have even seen yet. So that to me is just like it's exciting for me. I get excited about that sort of stuff. Games I get excited about, but the potential of this whole deal is amazing.
Yeah, it's going to do a lot of things for the industry, but more so studios like Raven, like Toys for Bob, like the guys who made Transformers. They're going to be able to make games again that are not Call of Duty, and that is exciting. But ladies and gentlemen, that has been your Tuesday edition of the Xbox Factor podcast. Just want to remind everyone, because I have COVID-19 and so does Mrs. Boom, there will not be any new shows for the remainder of the week. I'm somehow able to make it here. I'm on the last leg. I really am. But I didn't want to pull this show because obviously we had a big time guest and I had a lot to talk about, and I'm glad that we did. We got the 4 topics. Let's get to the outros. Risk it. Sell your brand, brother. Tell them about the Xbox Ultimate Podcast and where they can check that out. Did I say Ultimate? Did I get it right? Infinite. Oh my God. The Xbox Infinite Podcast, which, by the way, all the links to everyone that's on that panel that you should add to your weekly listen is going to be in the show notes. All you got to do is click on their names, follow them on Twitter, and then head over and subscribe to the podcast. Sell your brand, brother. Tell everyone where they can check that out each and every week. And more importantly, where can people reach out to you and strike up a conversation on social media?
Absolutely. If you follow me on Twitter, you're in for a bit of a wild ride, man. I don't take any of that seriously. That to me is just an absolute laugh. So Twitter is an absolute laugh. So if you want to follow me at Twitter, you can find me at Riskit4TB. And definitely come and follow us on the YouTube channel. Me and my brother here, Infinite, we are on every Friday, 8 p.m. EST in the US.
Mhm.
And if you're in Australia, Saturday, 10 a.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. We really do have a laugh. We talk some topics. We talk about Xbox. We talk about everything. And look, I try to be as honest with I'm not always right. We're not always right, but we try to be as honest and integral with our opinions as we absolutely can. We don't like to cap. If something's wrong with Xbox, we're going to say
it out.
Something's right with Xbox, we're going to say it. Like, you're going to hear our honest truth. Xbox Infinite. Come and join us there on the channel. It's linked in the description.
Yep.
And we'll see you there, guys. And I just want to say to the panel, you guys have been absolutely amazing. Box and Burger, like, we've been tagging each other and stuff for a while. Had a few chats and DMs. That's cool. We had Boom on the show.
Yes.
I think it was a few months back, and that was really cool, man. It's just really great to appear here, and I appreciate the invite. You guys have been amazing. So thank you very much.
Thank you, brother, for being here. And obviously, this will not be the last invite that you get for sure. You handle yourself like a pro, and I expected no less. Infinite Umbra. Talk about the Xbox Infinite Podcast. Talk about Doom of Duty. Talk about Jedi. Talk about Risk It, what you guys and gals do each and every Friday at 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And where can people reach out to you and strike up a conversation on social media?
Well, to talk about them, Risk It is horrible. Jedi Knight Peters were you meant positively. Oops. No, no, Risk It is great, and it was great to have you on here with us, brother. Jedi is great as well, and Doom Cutie, all great panel members, and I hope you all do come by and give us a view and listen. Sometimes we'll sing on there. I make it a mandatory thing that I start singing. We're going to have a special segment where we all sing, so you all should come by.
You also can't trust Umbra in Halo co-op, yeah, man. If you're gonna co-op with Umbra, you cannot
listen to
him.
him. He's the betrayer. Don't listen to him. He's the betrayer. He'll actually sit there. I'm not doing anything, and next thing you know, you're laid out on the floor. No, but great talk today, you guys. Box, you're great, of course. Danny, you're great, of course. Boom. Hope you feel better soon, brother. And of course, you're legendary yourself, brother. And of course, the chat homies, you all are excellent. Thank you all for coming through to spend time with us and hear us out and hear our thoughts and opinions on things. Of course, you all can find me on Xbox under Super Havoc, and you can find me on Twitter under Infinite Umbra or Umbra Infinite. You will find me one way or another. Risk It already gave out our podcast, so you all can come through for sure and check us out on Fridays, 8 o'clock Eastern. And also just want to add that we are doing something special, and we're going to try to make it a mainstay of the show where people can send in clips to our Twitter account.
Nice.
And we'll put it like the play of the week or something like that, or funny, whatever it may be, whatever you feel like sharing with us.
A week or something. I love that. That's a great idea. That's an awesome idea.
Thank you. Yeah. So, and we kind of brainstormed that in one of our talks for topics and things like that. So, whatever it be, if you feel it's funny and something that you want everybody to share and see, rather, you share it with us on Twitter and or if it's just something really cool, whatever it may be, share it with us, and we're gonna do something with that coming up.
Yeah, like
soon.
If you shoot your buddy in the back in Halo,
right, Risk It style. We call that the Risk
It. Well, listen, it's great to have you a part of this show each and every week, and obviously we want to help your channel grow and help your podcast grow because, like I said, I think what you guys do over there, guys and gals do over there, are incredibly important, and we need more podcasts that celebrate the people instead of tearing them down, and you guys do that very well. My good friend Hotbox Box and Burger. Sell your brand, and there's no reason that you have to, because you've been doing this for a while, but you've also been dropping crazy good videos. Colt Eastwood level production, folks. Go check him out at his new YouTube channel. Tell everyone where they could do that, Box and Burger, and where could people reach out to you and strike up a conversation on social media.
Yeah, first of all, thank you, Boom, for having me, and I do hope you will feel better soon, and COVID won't hit you too hard. So take care, man. Risk it. It's been a pleasure meeting you. First time with you on a show. I've had fun. We have to get you on the world of gaming. I will get in touch with you. Yeah, and Danny and Umbra, it's always fun to talk to you guys. So, and a big shout out to the chat. The chat is always on fire. This is an amazing community here. So cheers to you guys. And yeah, if you want to find my channel, you can do that on the Boxenberger everywhere. Twitter, YouTube, Xbox, PlayStation. It's everywhere, Boxenberger. And this Thursday, we have a special episode of my little podcast coming up, The World of Gaming. I have a community special where I have invited 4 people from the community that usually don't do podcasts. So they are very active in the chat each and every week, but they haven't done podcasts before, and I invited them, and it's basically 4 premieres for podcasters, potential upcoming podcasters, and it's gonna be awesome. It's a community special this Thursday, 2 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. UK time, or 8 p.m. Central Europe. So yeah, that's gonna be a lot of fun. And otherwise, Boom, I can't wait to be back here next week.
Yes, and we will be back here, same time, same bat channel. And last and no way least, Daniel, sell your brand, brother. You've been dropping some videos. In fact, you just dropped a half-an-hour one that I thought was really, really well done. And like most of your videos, very informative. Tell everyone where they can check out your YouTube channel. How do they do that? And where do they reach out to you on social media?
Absolutely. So you can find me on Twitter at Daniel J. McG, or on YouTube at Daniel McG. That's Daniel MCG. Apparently some people have been spelling it wrong. I guess MCGEE. It's not that. Don't add extra vowels. It's a lot more simple than you might think.
It's McG. It's super easy.
Yeah. MCG. Yeah, it's been a great time talking with you guys. Boom, Umbra, Box, as always. Risk It, it's been fantastic meeting you. I'm gonna have to start checking out your podcast more consistently, because I stopped in on it this week and it was fantastic, and I think I'm hooked. Might be slightly addicted. So
I love
it. You got a new fan here.
Nice. Well, listen, ladies and gentlemen, real quick, Jacob Novick dropped an outstanding $10 super chat, and he says something personal. When him and his brother were little, they had a table upstairs at their dad's place full of Legos, castles, Star Wars, knights, and more. And we also had a big Hot Wheels track with a skeleton that could destroy it. That is dope, dude. I remember that skeleton because I actually had it as well. We also had a super chat come in just recently. If I missed any of your super chats, it's because I am off my game, folks. I am honestly really not feeling well. Let me see if I could find it. Hold on just a second. Vamaria. Hold on. There's so much chat that I missed. Oh, man. Okay, hold on just 1 second. Okay, we're getting to the end. Here we go. We have one from Andy and Grand. Well, thank you, Andy, for dropping the super chat. He says, imagine a $5 super chat, mind you. Imagine if Microsoft greenlit Crash Bandicoot 5 before Banjo-Kazooie 3 after all this time might tick off people. Folks, I am going to protest in front of Phil Spencer's house. I'm going to find out where he lives. And I'm going to stand there dressed as Banjo-Kazooie with a megaphone. Something similar to what the Bandicoot used to do towards Mario, and he's not going to like it. So don't do that, Phil. Get that done for Boom. Scott Gamer Dude drops an additional $5 super chat and says, goodbye, Boom. Get better soon. Thank you for that. Steeler fans here from the Bay Area too. Oh, by the way, that's dope, dude. Have a great rest of the week. Thank you for that. And folks, listen, again, thank you so much for supporting Double Barrel Gaming with your views, with your likes, your subs, your super chats. We will be back at it next week once Mrs. Boom and I recover. Hopefully, it is going to be a short stint by Saturday. I'm hoping that we have moved on from this COVID-19 BS. And I'll close out the show, folks, that with something that's important to me, hopefully one day, important to you. And that's something that my dad taught us when we were kids. And he would say, Craig, treat others how you want to be treated. And also, it doesn't cost anything to be nice. Live by those rules, son. I can guarantee you, you're going to have an awesome day. So take care, everyone. And we'll see you back here on all of the live Double Barrel Gaming channels next week.